When I was a kid in the right time, 67, so I was a kid during the 70s and into the early 80s. There's certain things that are very iconic for that time of, well, media, entertainment, presentation. You had things like, you know, Wonder Woman was on the air, and you had Incredible Hulk, and you had Battlestar Galactica. And then you also had Knight Rider. The one thing they have in common is Glenn Larson, who is the producer. And he introduced us to the Larson effect. Greetings, Captain Jack Harkness. Oh, sorry. Dave here, DCBFX. Always get those two confused. At your service. What I want to talk about today is more on the LEDs, more on electronics. This is called the Larson effect, or LED chaser. That's it's a simple program, and it just goes from one to the next, sweeps back and forth. So you saw that in the front of the kit in Knight Rider. The Cylons had it in their eyes and all that stuff. So just because Glenn Larson produced all those, it became known the Larson effect. So what I'm going to do is I'll switch over to here again, and we will go through some of the programming and how to set this up. Okay, so today we're going to make what is called a Larson scanner, or a Larson effect. Basically, it's an LED chaser. It got the name from Glenn Larson, who did Battlestar Galactica, and he did Knight Rider, and those two have the it's iconic. They have the pulsing light that goes back and forth, back and forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that here. So if you take a look here, what I have is I have a breadboard. So this is a nice way of getting multiple LEDs and everything onto a system. You also notice too, I've hooked up resistors. The reason I've done that is because this board doesn't have any resistors on it. You do have resistors on this Arduino, but so when you're plugging that, you're fine, but to this you're not. And because you're getting 5 volts from this, you run the risk of blowing up your LEDs. So all I've done is I've wired here, I'll blow this up a little better. So I've wired it so that you have the high end, or the positive, going to the board, and then all the negatives are going onto here. So the resistor takes the negative end to this board and runs it down. So this negative lead goes to or ground, sorry, goes to here. So that everything grounds out. So if I were to then go in and I were to open up my sketchbook, because I've already done this, I already have all the sketches in here. I go down here to LED chaser. So this is the file that I have, and again, I found it and modified it to my needs. So if you look here, the breakdown is basically we are defining the pins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which we have lined in the board here, and then we set the delay here. This way is just so you set a variable of LED delay, so it just modified once. So you don't have to go through and say you had a whole bunch of LEDs, go through and go one at a time, change it to from 250 to 500, and again and again and again. With this, all you need to do is go in and make one change, and it writes the rest of them. So then here is the code. So you start always with the setup, and then it's just basically going from 0 to 6, and I'll put the code into the description so you can see it and you can copy and paste it. That basically is it. So I've got this laid out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got the board here laid out, and this board laid out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if I take this and I submit it to the board, and voila, we have a Larson chaser. Now if I want to make that a little bit faster, obviously I can. I'll take that down to 150. And then submit that. So there's your chaser. So you can add more to it. I could have, I've got 13 outputs on this board. I could have a 13 chaser LED. There are bigger boards that have more addresses to it, so I could make it bigger that way. But this is just a great little fun effect. And if I wanted to, which I have done on other props, like I did on my steampunk tricorder. I added the Larson effect across the top as well. On the steampunk pad, sorry, not my tricorder. I've got that there, so you could very easily take that to like a mini, a board about yay big, like a mini like this. Get this in the frame here. So take a board like this, and this is just, you solder all the pins on, put the same code on here, and solder it in, and there you've got it in something simple inside a small prop. So that's it for doing an LED chaser. It's not hard to do. There are lots of examples out there how to do it, but your breadboard is a nice and easy way of doing it before you get down to soldering, because that in itself is another kettle of fish, as they say. Knowing how to do it right can be real problematic. But this is a way you can get in, you can sort of play around with your programming skills and see what comes up. So that's how you do a Larson effect. Basically, a few little pieces of equipment like a breadboard and some resistors and some LEDs and some jumper wires and a little bit of programming, and voila. If you saw my steampunk pad, I put a Larson effect in that. If you look at tricorders, like tricorders made by GM Props, we almost have the Larson effect across the top. It goes out and back, and Star Trek did that as well. But to modify the code with this, easily done. It's just a little snippet of code. The wiring's the same. You just choose different ways of how you address it. I would do that simply by doing a Larson effect one way, not having looping back and forth, and just wire up 2 LEDs to the same port. So I'd have one on this side and one on this side. So they would go in like that and then back out. You could do that easily as well. So that's electronics part 3. Look at that, number 3 already. So thanks for coming by and checking it out. I did get some pleasant feedback from a follower on YouTube, a fellow Arduino and electronics guy, which is great feedback, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to keep going with these because I enjoy doing this. And when I go to the prop party, if we ever have one again, I'm going to get asked on electronics. So why not start putting things out there? So I can go, yeah, here's my card, here's my site, here's my YouTube channel. Go check it out. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate everyone stopping in, and we will talk at y'all later.